Are you starting? Okay, we are starting. We are live. Hello and welcome to Fermenting Opinions. This is a live YouTube live hangout. We're also going to be a podcast soon, but right now we're hosting live events and trying to encourage member participation. People who are part of our Facebook group, but what we are is a hosted conversation. We are people from various political perspectives, and we're coming together to talk about the current issues and trying to have a way of sort of taking a step back from the world of hyperpartisanship that most of us occupy now, especially on social media. And I think a really good way to do that is engage personally, and that's why we're having face-to-face conversations with interested parties. Tonight on Fermenting Opinions, we are talking about Trump hitting his 100-day mark. We are talking about what his campaign promises were, how well he's living those out so far. We were talking about his tax plan, and we're also going to bring up Ted Cruz and wanting to pass legislation about using seized money, the El Chapo Act, for using seized drug money to build the border wall. So that's what we're going to do here tonight. And do we want to kick it off by introducing ourselves?
I think we do a quicker round again. David, if you want to start.
Sure. I'm David Poseidon. I am one of the co-founders of Fermenting Opinions. Here's my compatriot, the hated James McVeigh.
The hated James McVeigh, the undisputed heavyweight champion of bullshit.
I have to agree wholeheartedly.
You're a local libertarian who still holds true with originalism and textualism.
Okay. And we're going to fight about that really soon.
That's going to come.
We're actually going to fight about that, but that's an aside. So that's James. Who else is here with us tonight? Chris.
I'm Chris Loffery, and you found me. I'm glad to be here.
Fantastic.
Do it.
Chris might be providing some contrarian perspectives tonight, which is good to see. Again, a multitude of perspectives. So,
it's you that's the contrarian, I believe.
So far,
see? He's already disagreed with me. This is great.
We won the election. I mean,
Haley's next.
Haley, you're up.
Haley Fox, based out of Houston now.
Houston. Okay, very good, very good. And Ross?
Ross James, just helping to get the thing off the ground. That's it. That's
it. He's been a great proponent of ours. He's been helping me considerably. We're working on an actual legitimate podcast, which is the thing you listen to on mobile devices, etc. And it's recorded sound versus people gabbing on Google Plus Live. And
that works too. That works too.
And he's a tech genius. He's a wizard, and he's helping us act like professionals
to some degree.
Yes, and
within reason.
So let's get started.
Where do you want to start?
We're going to talk about 100 days.
Oh, right on. Let's see. Chris, we talked about this earlier. Did you prepare a list?
I did. Right. And
run us through.
Trump won. It's pretty easy to say that you are the contrarians, but that's okay. So let's look at the promises according to what I think you might agree is an objective website, PolitiFact, tracking Trump's campaign promises.
Sounds good.
Okay.
There's a Trump-o-meter for each one of these, so you can scroll down if you get there. I think it should be the same order for everyone who logs in. But start out by asking him, about his release of his tax returns. And they say it's stalled, but that it'll still happen once his audit is over. Did you want to discuss these?
They the administration, just for clarification.
Oh. No, that's the they is the PolitiFact.
Okay.
So they have a Trump-o-meter for each one of them. And
I don't mean to cut you off, but why don't we just go through the list first, just because I'm not going to open up the website right now, but I'm just interested to know what the promises are.
Okay. Second one is reverse China's entry into the World Trade Organization. Third one is to lower the business tax rate. Fourth one is to cancel all funding of sanctuary cities. Fifth one is to end birthright citizenship, then renegotiate the Iran deal, then open up libel laws. You guys have to help us on that one. Establish a ban on Muslims entering the U.S., increase the size of the U.S. Army to 540,000 active duty soldiers, rebuild the U.S. Navy toward the goal of 350 ships, provide the U.S. Air Force with 1,200 fighter aircraft, rebuild the Marine Corps to 36 battalions of sexual misconduct, hire American workers first, reverse Barack Obama's 2016 gun executive order, and prosecute Hillary.
Okay.
Repeal and replace Obamacare wasn't on there?
Not on this first page.
Interesting. Should have been.
I thought that was,
I
that was a big.
imagine that is
Oh, but that's
totally...
okay. That's okay. Let's get started. Let's start with the first one. What's our result on what was the first one?
Release of tax returns.
Release of tax.
Yeah, that went next.
And we're saying, you're right. Well, I mean, yeah, it was saying that it was, according to PolitiFact, that was pending. I
Pending my
find
ass.
that I'm a little skeptical that it's really ever going to happen. It's like I think it's going to be teased. The fact that when he was on the campaign trail, it says, "Oh, well, I'll release that when Hillary releases her emails or whatever it was." The tit for tat he was proposing seemed like a really good indication that we will never ever see his tax returns.
Yeah.
And how's it going to help our country anyway?
I mean, that's a different discussion for a different day.
Yeah,
But
that's just
he said on the campaign trail that he would release them. It's been 100 days. He hasn't done that yet.
okay. I mean, I'm going to reserve judgment either way on that one. I mean, obviously he hasn't released them, but other than that, who gives a shit? Next
Well,
one.
can he release it before his audit is over? Are they really done before his audit is over?
Yes. Legally, you can release your tax returns whenever the hell you want. It's
Yeah,
not going to change what you claim to the IRS. It's not going to change what the IRS is investigating. It's not going to infect your investigation in the least bit. Yes, you can release your tax
He's
returns.
just choosing not to.
Yeah, and it's a good excuse, I suppose. But this is a huge time waster because I'd like to move on. If no one else has an objection, I mean, we all know.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Not important.
Yeah.
Releases tax returns. Next one is reverse China's entry into the World Trade Organization. They say it's in the works.
I really haven't heard much.
Is this part of the decrying China as a currency
manipulator? I think it is.
No, it's a different one. And that one he reversed himself and is not.
Yeah.
It's on a different page. I remember reading it earlier today, though.
Yeah, but I have no idea what the status of that is, to be honest with you. Why does he want to remove China from World Trade?
Preventing them from entering World Trade
Yeah.
Organization. Is that it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's try to focus on the big ones that we know about so that way we can have a good discussion on. So
That's a good point. I don't want to meander.
Yeah, I don't know if this thing randomizes the order each time you log in. Just
Yeah, I thought I read a different order too. But Chris, what's our next one?
the lower the business tax rate, which is something that has been brought up in the tax reform proposal plan that he's brought, lowering it from 39.6% to 15%. And, he might get that one done. Didn't get it done within the first 100 days. But
Please do it.
yeah, right.
You're an atheist, James.
That's true. Please, Invisible Man in the Sky, or whoever the fuck is listening, Hishna or Krishna or Hindu or fucking.
You want lower taxes because
Oprah
I understand
Winfrey,
your
yeah,
position as a libertarian taxation staff.
We don't know.
XYZ.
It benefits me directly.
He's
selfish.
In the context of this is a campaign promise. This is something he seems to be acting out with the tax proposal that he's talking about 15%.
Yeah.
And he wants that. We can revisit that issue because we're talking about his tax plan later in terms of feasibility. Do we like this? Why or why not? But it seems like he's working on that. Now, the context of this list, though, is it saying that these are things that he said would be done within 100 days or things that he wants to do just as campaign promises?
Just promises.
Just promises.
Okay.
And I'll say,
well, and
go ahead.
if we're gonna go on a day limit too, I know this is in the confines of 100 days, but I'm pretty sure I remember a campaign promise of having a secret plan to destroy ISIS within 30 days.
I heard that one.
That is true.
I do remember that. That was interesting.
So that hadn't happened yet. It's a lot more complicated than he thought it was. So
So you got one big ass bomb.
We got 96 ISIS deaths out of that bomb. And I will admit, I just want to mention.
And how many more ISIS recruits?
And I want to mention, just as an aside, it might be possible that we also scored 3 ISIS deaths from some wild boars that might have been secret U.S. agents.
Wild
Who
boars.
knows?
well, And with also within this context, he said he had an action plan to get something done within 30 days. Whenever we're talking about the mother of all bombs, we all know that wasn't Trump. That was Mathis.
That's true. It is true. Trump had nothing.
I think Trump made a smart decision.
On it, didn't even know about it.
I think Trump made a smart decision by appointing Mathis, but he having a plan and implementing anything hasn't, borne out in anything.
Yeah, that's true. At least on that end.
He has delegated.
And it shows a lot of caginess on his part. And you've heard me complain about this before. When asked whether or not he authorized the Moab, and he says, "Well, we all know what happened," which is a complete dodge of the answer. Again, the lack of transparency.
We all know that he didn't do it.
I mean, it seems fairly obvious that he just didn't want to admit that it wasn't him that authorized it. This is the way it seems. The fact that he can't give a yes or no answer to a very simple question, I find problematic from our president, who's supposed to be accountable to all of us.
In all fairness, though, does a president not get credit for what his appointees and his cabinet does? Because, I give credit to Obama for killing Osama bin Laden, and obviously he had jack shit to do with
he didn't fire the gun.
Actually, he was in the Situation Room and he made the call.
Well, yeah, no shit, but the call was we already lined up and we have 88.
He also didn't have a problem saying that he made the call. When asking in the case of the Moab,
this is a little bit.
Did you authorize the dropping of this bomb? And he goes, kind of, you know what happened.
But it's a little bit different.
If we're going to blame him for not doing something, we can give him credit for something that does happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I'll give Mr. Trump a pass.
I'm not even saying I'm against the strike. I'm not even saying that. I'm really just raising the point of when asked a direct question, he cannot provide a direct answer.
That's fair.
He just seems shady overall. That's the only point I was really getting at.
No, Donald Trump is nothing but the definition of shady.
And I wanted to bring up the point of he didn't have a secret plan to destroy ISIS in 30 days.
Right.
Amen.
Right.
Yeah,
that's where all this falls from.
That's true. And a very good point, Haley. Yeah, we're 70 days out from that secret plan. Yeah. I'm not seeing anything yet.
Yeah. Instead he's delegated, which is probably a very smart decision. He made a good decision with Mathis, but
why not?
Don't
act like you have something when you don't.
Does anyone here disagree that
that's half his game?
I don't. I've not really heard any pushback on that in terms of his appointees. It might be the only one I don't have a problem with.
The only thing I've heard is the hardcore libertarians saying that Mattis is guilty of war crimes, which I'm sure is probably true. But
by being an isolationist, I guess maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Isn't
those are
the only issue that happened with Mathis was the fact that he was in military service. Not within the 7-year window. And they changed that rule, but I never had a problem with it.
They didn't change the rule. You just need a congressional waiver.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily problematic. It just they had to jump through an extra hoop. So that's really not a big deal. We're trying to be fair here and not be hyper partisan, and that's something I can, as screaming, raging, whatever liberal, can say. You know what? Mathis was a good appointment. Nothing nefarious about it. His appointment. He seemed like a quality dude.
Agreed.
No problems. I wish there was more good judgment from that perspective. Anyway.
What's up next?
Chime in on that. Mathis is one of the most well-read, intelligent people that have been appointed to any administration in a number of years. So,
goddamn right.
You gotta pick one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh,
hoorah!
That was an easy one.
So, what's our next one, Chris?
In the birthright citizenship.
This is interesting. That is a cornerstone of our Constitution.
Yeah. Take it, bro. You got it. I know you got it.
Well, April 21st, he introduced a bill, so it hasn't passed
you
yet.
can introduce a bill all you want to, but a bill doesn't supersede the Constitution of the United States of America. There are rules.
Not yet.
This is not Vietnam. There are rules, and the rules start.
So it's a good thing we have judicial review.
It is Marbury v. Madison. Thank you, originalists. Oh my God! It's like they'll actually read the Constitution. And do something.
Let it go. We're still promising a big fight about originalism.
It'll come.
We're teasing it like Trump.
Watch. Oh baby,
watch.
Don't worry. Let the sexual tension build.
Anyway, so a bill was proposed to end birthright citizenship. That's my understanding.
Yes.
Someone said the 21st.
Yes.
Chris, you did? Okay. How do we feel about that?
Well, I already gave my stance of the Constitution's pretty goddamn clear.
But little exegesis. Go ahead.
Well, if it passes, then we can read it, right?
It doesn't have to pass,
Yeah.
actually. We can read the proposed bill, too. Once it's up for a vote.
Without knowing what's in it, I don't know. It sounds like a pretty big statement.
I mean, birthright citizenship is, again, a cornerstone of the United States Constitution. Like, it's pretty black and white on that one.
Is it to disqualify, say, someone who's entered? I'm assuming
Well,
it's specifically targeted at what Trump termed anchor babies.
Yep.
Yes. And Trump didn't term that, actually. That was a Reagan term. But yes, anchor babies, same thing. The idea that your parents were born in another country and are not citizens, but you are born here, therefore you're illegitimate. You don't belong in our country.
No, that's not what it means at all.
No, it's not.
It's whenever like a pregnant lady crosses over the border and has her baby here, she has an American citizen as a child, and then she's allowed to anchor to that child and stay here because you get in the visa process. If you have a immediate family member who is an American citizen, you are a higher priority to get to the state.
Sure.
And so you are able to anchor in on your baby that you had in America.
So what you're saying, and I haven't read the bill, I don't know, but what you're inferring here, or what you're asserting, is that this ban on birthright citizenship is saying that you still need to be deported no matter what if you had a child here, because it sounds like from the language of birthright citizenship, meaning if you are born here, if your parents are illegal, you still aren't a citizen. That's what it sounds like to me. But
I don't know what you're saying right now. I'm just explaining to you what the term anchor baby is.
Oh, okay. Yes. So sorry. Birthright citizenship.
He's referring to the proposed legislation, of which none of us have read.
Exactly.
So we're looking at this with
And to add a wrinkle to this, he's proposing this legislation, and he was one of the main advocates for the Obama birther controversy. So, like, he's proposing legislation about birthright citizenship. This seems entirely inconsistent with some of the stuff that he has stood on in the past to criticize Obama.
Well, he's known for contradicting himself.
I was going to try and be diplomatic on that one, but my other part of my brain wanted to be like, surprise!
Yeah.
There is a link on the site if you pull it up, and it explains, and it is talking about the baby's citizenship apparently, but they don't think he has much of a chance.
No, of course not. If his bill is addressing children born in the United States to illegal parents, he has zero ground to stand on unless he amends the Constitution. Period. It's pretty black and white that if you are born in this country, you are an American citizen de facto.
And that's rather hard to get around.
It's
like a lot of things.
Drop.
Yeah, and a lot of his executive orders and things, the Muslim ban, which we're coming to. We might as well just bring it up next. He's tried for 2 Muslim bans, and so far they're both in the status of being shot down. Again, campaign promise, according to Politico, campaign promise not just barring entry so that we can fix our immigration refugee system, but an actual Muslim ban, because that's what he said he wanted. That's what he went to Donning with. I want to figure a way to keep the Muslims out, and that's a constitutionally problematic position to take.
At least the radicals.
Well, I mean, I'm not even discussing the theory behind it or the idea behind it, but the moment you say
in the context of
Muslim ban, you just shot yourself in the foot, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
across the board. There's a First Amendment for a reason. It was the First Amendment, number one. America's number one. The number one amendment. It ain't gonna fucking happen. You can take that to the bank. If you want religious liberty, you have to give liberty to all religions, and that includes Islam.
No state-sanctioned religions, period, across the board.
Or state prohibited
religion. Oh yeah. No advancing or prohibiting any religion, period. I mean, this is pretty simple stuff. So if you wanted to find a creative way, and I'll be honest with you, the second time he did the ban, had it been passed by Congress, I think it might have survived.
I honestly thought the way it was phrased was a lot more robust.
It was
and defensible.
It
but
was.
It still comes back to publicly. He advertised what he was trying to do, and that seems inescapable.
It does. It does.
You know, so as far as the campaign promise, it seems like this one's failing, and I can't say that I personally mind.
And if I may, before, because I want to pass the floor on everyone else, but here comes the real $1 million question on that one. At what point does a campaign promise be able to? What point can you walk it back? What point can you say, I said a bunch of stuff to get elected. I was wrong. I fixed my executive order. I took out, the language that was bad. And then some activist judge in Hawaii who has absolutely zero, bearing on any of this, because how many friggin' Muslims come through Hawaii? What do they have even, what connection do they have to even be able to speak?
It's just some island, right?
Yeah, right. It's just some island out in the middle of nowhere without any Muslim countries anywhere near it. So what question can Hawaii raise? I get Seattle.
Well, I mean, no. Indonesia has the largest Muslim population in the world, and how Indonesians would travel to the U.S. would be via this Pacific route.
Okay, fair. Good point. And that's your next argument. That's what I was going to say. But even still, the question comes up on appeal. I don't think Trump's initial one would have ever survived.
Definitely not. I
haven't heard anything about what the Court of Appeals are doing with the Hawaii ban, the second run. And on top of that, I haven't heard anything about if something's been decided, if it's going to the Supreme Court or not. I mean, it's going to go to the Supreme Court. Let's be real.
Well, this entire conversation is about the campaign promises that he made in the first 100 days, what he's accomplished, and everything.
Yeah.
And he did make a tax proposal today. It hasn't passed. I think the one thing.
We lost you. We lost you there.
Oh, yeah, you appear to be muted.
Ayla, you muted yourself somehow.
Or the connection faded. It could be either one.
Ross came back.
Yeah. I'm mute when I'm not talking, so that way there's no bleed over.
Ross is muting himself.
Chris, where are you at with this, man?
I'm here.
Right.
No, what are you thinking?
What are your thoughts?
Everything he tries to do, he's going to have to get through Congress. If he uses an executive order, then he's a bad guy. Well, that makes sense. But if he's trying. Obama came out in his first 100 days, and he said, "Guys, I'm only the president." Remember that?
Yes. No, I do.
I don't.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
I think his intentions are what he first, portrayed to us in his promises to be elected. I don't think that he's a forthcoming person. I think he's a businessman who is used to dismissing people. He doesn't have security walking around with him everywhere he goes until now. And so he always had, a quip on his cuff to just deflect people. And that's how he lived until now. And we're going to have to get used to that. And he'll get better at handling things like that. But I'm happy so far. I think that he's tried. I think he's made a good effort in every one of these areas. I don't think he understands what a career politician would understand, but that might be a good thing. He's not fearful of trying. He's not just continuing the past. And I also think a lot of Democrats might be happy that he's backpedaling on things.
Of course.
If they really care about the policies instead of the politics.
I would have to agree with you on that end. And let me just say on a different note, touchdown. I couldn't be happier with his first executive order. Basically, that's her. basically saying we don't have to report whether or not we carried insurance for purposes of Obamacare and taxation. That saved me a lot of money this year.
Yeah.
That's the first thing he did. First order he signed. And when he signed it, I was like, oh, well, hot damn. I think, Chris, you could probably remember this from Whiskey and Politics. I posted about it, and I was like, oh,
yeah.
wow. Yes. Thank you.
Money in our pockets.
Yes. Oh, my God, yes. I mean, there's an extra 10 G's I didn't lose this year.
Right.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Really, really helped me out on a lot of things. And I would say there are efforts he's made so far that I like. I mean, aside from everybody knows that, again, going back to our originalist textualist thing, that I like Neil Gorsuch. I mean, I do.
Yeah.
I like Neil. I'm about it. I'm happy to see him right now. Time will tell.
Right.
I want to read his dissents or his opinions or his concurrences and see exactly what he's saying. But based on his record in the 10th Circuit, I really like him.
And I'm thinking we're looking at 30 years of suck. So, it sucks that he's 49. It really sucks that he's 49.
Hurts for socialists sometimes.
Really, I'm not a socialist.
I know. I'm just playing.
I'm really not a socialist.
I hear Haley trying to talk.
Haley, you with us?
No, I click back in, but I do know a number of very liberal people that are not upset at Neil's pick.
I've heard that
Really?
too. Yeah.
And why is that?
Because he seems to be more centrist at the end of the day. So he goes the way of the actual letter as he thinks it to be. So I don't know what the actual answer is, but that's what I've heard.
It is. He's very much a libertarian in that sense, and that's the way it goes. And I think you will see that if, for example, if Trump's little travel ban gets its way to the Supreme Court, you're going to see Gorsuch side with the liberals on that one and say,
Really?
don't think so.
I mean,
because that's how you expand
truthfully, I'd be
liberty.
impressed if that happens.
If you want to expand religious liberty, that's how you do it. You have to be above board on all sides, and I think you will. Now you're going to see bans on birth control and all kinds of stuff come with it.
And here's the two sides of it, because James and I, we argue about originalism and textualism and those things, and we go back and forth, following sort of, what is that? What is the logic behind it, and how do you follow it to its conclusion?
Marbury versus Madison, boom!
Marbury versus Madison, and he reversed his position, by the way.
Federalist 78 does support Marbury v. Madison.
Thank you.
And it does not change a goddamn thing.
Okay,
Stop.
Stop. Let's not get off track. But the fact is, when you're talking about originalist judges, or judges who are professed originalists, that's the way I should say it, that when it comes to what is expedient for someone who is politically conservative, they have a history of abandoning that. Scalia is a prime example of that. So when I see Gorsuch on the bench calling himself an originalist, he's gonna do he's gonna parse it out, Talmudically, with regards to what is the text of the Constitution when it's going to serve a conservative outcome, and he will abandon that when it doesn't. That's my fear and my prediction.
Chris, you want this one, or should I take it?
Go ahead.
Which one is a black activist? Martin Luther King Jr. or Malcolm X?
I guess you could say they both are.
Can you guys hear Haley? I can hear her.
I can't hear Haley.
Haley, are you with us?
I cannot. But I will ask the question again. Which one is a black activist?
Haley, speak again.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Got you.
All right.
I fixed it with the
Curious question that one stands. Which one's a black activist? Is it Martin Luther King Jr. or is it Malcolm X?
Both.
So which one is an originalist? Is it Neil Gorsuch or is it Antonin Scalia?
Depends on which stance you're taking to begin with.
I'm saying they both espouse originalism.
Sure.
I'm calling them out as to whether or not they're being consistent with it.
Okay, that's the point of my question. Again, goes back to the same thing.
Hey guys, it's Lace.
Lace.
Oh, Lace is too. Yes.
What up, group?
Gang's all here.
Hey,
we're arguing about Gorsuch.
We are, but hang on, we're bringing it up a great point.
Well,
because I was told that by David made this point that said because Scalia acted a certain way and claimed originalism, Gorsuch is going to do the same thing. And I just said, which one is a black activist, Malcolm X or MLK Jr.? And the answer is both. And it's the same answer for Scalia and Gorsuch. They're both originalists. It doesn't mean they agree on everything or will take the same route about everything. I mean,
I don't. This is really just an expression of bad faith on my part.
Exactly, and that's my point. It's an argument that white supremacists made about MLK Jr. because of Malcolm X, saying that Malcolm X is this violent call to arms.
Equate me to a white supremacist?
No, not necessarily, but it is. You're following the same logic in the ignorance end. Well, sorry.
So, question, guys, since I didn't make you repeat anything, since I'm the jerk that showed up late to the party, but so when y'all are saying that it's originalism, has someone yet defined what y'all mean by originalism?
That'd be a great question.
Oh, you?
My wheelhouse.
Or yours? Go ahead.
It's not mine. I says out of my wheelhouse. That's why I was just listening.
Oh, you said out of your wheelhouse. I thought you said my wheelhouse.
No, sorry.
Yeah. This by the way, this entire thing is a tangent because we were talking about Trump, his campaign promises, and hitting 100 days and whether or not he's doing well on that checklist.
But either way, I guess
and now we're bickering about
Gorsuch. We could tie a real quick bow on it, just saying that give Gorsuch his chance. Let's see what he does. He may differ from Scalia, he may not, but to say Scalia is this originalist paradigm that you want to follow or attribute originalism to is grossly inaccurate. I like Scalia for certain things. I dislike the living shit out of Scalia for certain things. I mean, there are areas where he really did subscribe to originalism, and there were areas where he used his extremely superior intellect to argue his way out of originalism and back to it.
Yeah, he made clever arguments. I'll certainly concede that.
Scalia in his time was smarter than anyone on the bench and could argue his way.
I won't say he was smarter. I'm saying he's clever.
More intellectual, more.
Wait, so are you guys saying that it's an example of judicial overreach?
That originalists would do that?
Let's not go there. It never happened.
Never at all.
Not in the living Constitution.
Again, I have to put a bow. I have serious misgivings about both originalism and Gorsuch as a professed originalist, and whether or not that's just it's just the way they're gaming what they want. But let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what he says. And again, the things we talked about in the last show, the way he's referred to certain decisions and his opinions on them, and his basically trash talking on things like the lemon test. It doesn't fill me with confidence, as one of my college professors would say. Sure. It doesn't fill me with confidence at all. But that's it for now. Let's wait and see, and let's move on. So what's the next thing on the list?
Build a wall.
Build the wall.
This
will tie into Cruz.
Yeah, this will be good.
This will tie into Cruz.
Good times, everybody. Good times.
So he says he's going to build a wall. He didn't say it's 100 days, and we should caveat all of this, by the way. He didn't necessarily. He said with ISIS that he had a plan to keep them in 30 days.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm almost positive he said he'd break ground on that wall within the first 100 days.
Yeah. Before we completely segue to the build a wall topic, because I think that's going to just naturally go hand in hand with talking about the Ted Cruz thing. If we just want to do a wrap up of the 100 days thing, I just wanted to say I had an issue with what we had been talking about before we got on this side tangent of Gorsuch, which was the first 100-day benchmark's been around for a while because it's considered a sweet spot in a presidency. It's a new chapter, it's a new president, and it's a time when they're going to have a lot of sympathy or have the ability to get a lot of things done because it's just not, it's still early on in their first year. It's not 2.5 years deep whenever party tensions can seriously rise. And with Trump, he not only has the White House, he has both the House and the Senate. And he made a lot of campaign promises. And the only one that I have seen him fulfill is appointing someone to the Supreme Court. And it took the Senate going nuclear to get it done. So as we're looking at this 100-day benchmark, I'm not seeing it be a sweet spot in the Trump presidency. I'm seeing a lot of partisanship. And hopefully, though, that's all gotten out there early on, because it seems as if he's starting to sort of change his tone, backpedal a dash on certain things, and maybe he's realizing, you know, he needs to work with the other side, especially with the upcoming, you know, budgetary crisis, the deficit seal, all that that's happening on Friday in government.
I think we've got that covered, though. I think the only point of contention there was the wall, and he backed off of that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so I think he's learned a lot in these 100 days. But as a measuring of a president on these first 100 days, I haven't seen him accomplish anything except appointing someone to the Supreme Court based off of his campaign promises.
And saving me a fuck ton in taxes, my boy. Sorry, just saying that. But no, seriously, I completely agree with you, Haley, on that end. The only thing I want to add to that is that as far as the Supreme Court justice thing goes, it's not really his fight. I really got to hand it to Mitch McConnell and the Republicans in the Senate and House for fucking up Merrick Garland and making it a fight to where the Democrats had to stand. They had
that's extremely contentious, but let's stay focused, okay? Let's stay focused. Haley brought up a great point. We're talking about what he said he would do versus what is happening right now. Yeah. And I have to agree with her that he said he would do a lot of these things, and then then maybe he got in there and found out it was really harder than he thought it would be to just say these things. And it comes to I don't know if it's the next point on the list. There was another point that he made that he was going to do the whole lock her up thing with Hillary, right? Lock her up. And they chanted that shit for months. Let me finish. And then as soon as he got elected, he goes, "Oh yeah, lock her up." Wasn't that fun, guys? Wasn't that fun?
We're not going to actually do that.
But she's had a hard time. We're going to let it go. If at this point you were a diehard Trump fan and really just absolutely hated Hillary Clinton, thought she was a criminal, thought she deserved to go to jail.
Can we be
and we'll compare this to the people that voted for Trump when the polls came out, and the 100 days within this week, the polls of people who approved of his presidency currently, who are people who voted for them, an overwhelming majority, and only a 2% of those people actually regretted voting for him. For all this sound and fury about lock her up, and for him to just openly declare that he was full of shit when he said it, and no one seems to bat an eye about it.
Well, I can't speak for all of them, but I'm a pragmatist.
Okay.
Out of sight, out of mind. I'm just glad we don't have to see her anymore or hear from her anymore right now. So that works for me.
Hey, who is that?
Huh? That's Chris.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, that's Chris. Hey, Chris, it's Lacey.
Good to see you. Kind of.
Yeah.
I think it's for the guy with the car.
Yeah, good to see your icon.
Yes.
All right. I want to ask: do they have to be mutually inclusive? Can we not support Donald Trump on this hand and still want to see Hillary prosecuted for the crimes she committed on the other?
I don't care.
I mean,
it's certainly possible to hold that position. But what I'm saying is that people were worked up to a lather over this thing.
Oh yes.
But her emails, it became a meme.
And they voted.
It's really the only serious Trump vote that I can look at someone and say, "Oh, you voted for Trump because you hated her, because you thought all these things about her." We can disagree on the facts, but at least I understand where you're coming from. If you just voted for Trump,
well,
like him or approve of his message
well, in my case, and most of the people I know who voted for Trump, it's about America being a place where we can run a business, not be punished if we don't choose a socialist healthcare program, not see a government that continues to just grow and grow and grow for the sake of itself, which seemed to be what Obama and Hillary were moving toward. And Obamacare is, a blatant case in my book of that. And so the rest of it was kind of, just drama.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How in the, I don't know how to say this as nicely as I can. How in the flying fuck do you come with this idea that Donald Trump isn't George W. Bush 3.0 and Obama 2.0? What has really changed?
Oh, I don't disagree with the risk of Trump. There's a risk.
Not the risk, but I'm just saying, like in general.
Truthfully, he's a big government populist.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering is that you've elected an authoritarian, a big government authoritarian. You pick a guy who is like far right authoritarian, Hitler.
And really, I mean, it comes down to just the hope that he's going to be kind to
I think he's seeing.
I hate to make the
small
Godwin's
business
argument move.
I think enough of us are convinced that he sees the American people as his quote customer, and he's truly trying to address their needs.
His donation benefactor.
I don't think he's not trying to build a bigger structure for himself. He's reached his pinnacle. I feel sorry for the guy. I mean, what's the rest of his life going to be like? He's going downhill from here. But
no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but Chris, actually, Lacey, I think that you did bring up a really good point whenever you were saying that, it's a bunch of business. These are business. The people that voted for Trump are business people. They feel like, they're sick of seeing the government grow, and they want to be able to have policies that are enacted that don't penalize them for not doing it the way the government says they should have to do it.
Yeah.
And I understand that perspective. I mean, when Obama first tried to push through Obamacare, I was totally against it. But I guess I've kind of swung the other way because I guess, you and I have had this discussion. I prioritize things a little bit differently than you do. But, I think that it's.
Well, let me interject just for a quick second there. I think eventually we're going to see so much automation and artificial intelligence that we're not going to be able to find work. We're going to depend on an infrastructure of an honest government to keep us going in 20, 30 years down the road. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we can trust what we have as a government structure yet.
And that's something that reasonable minds can disagree on. I think that there's evidence that would swing both ways. Yeah, the government has screwed up catastrophically in some of its endeavors, but it has been a success in others. And so I think that, there's every government program I do. I understand. But I do appreciate the fact that he wants to get in there and tweak things and save us money. I just don't necessarily agree with what he's tweaking because I think that it is done very much in a manner to just please his constituency. And but at the same time, I guess my point is that the people that voted for Trump in the first instance, this whole thing is, I guess, about the first 100 days. I really am curious, the people that thought of the things you just commented on that put Trump in office, if 100 days later, where are they now?
I think that the 100 days is an arbitrary number. Those who see it as the honeymoon period when he should get a lot done also remember that the Republicans jumped right on Obama and started blocking him. And it's just to me and the people who think like me, it's typical government stalemate, partisanship that doesn't really help anyone. But there will be some good that comes out of it, and there's going to be some, stupidity, and we have to be patient through that.
Always. Yeah. Let us visit the fact, though, that when Obama took office, he took office with a Democratic Congress, even if it was by a slight margin. He did, and he really didn't get shit done in 100 days.
It's true. He really didn't. He truthfully did not get that much done.
He did not do
Well, I also think that he was also facing this intense economic crisis.
He was.
Not what is facing Trump right now.
Of course.
And what he was trying to do is push a stimulus package and Obamacare. And so he did not get that accomplished in his first 100 days.
He was also reeling from George W. Bush's agreements and the prior Congress's agreements to bail out the auto industry and the fucking banking industry. I mean, I give credit where credit's due. I mean, we all labeled him a socialist, but at the same time, George W. Bush did all of the socialist measures that we all blame Obama for. I mean, it straight up, they were all signed by Bush, and they went right into Obama's first term immediately.
Yep.
Now, and I'm not trying to fault Obama, and he found a way to force feed us Obamacare, and that was cool, and I appreciate what he was trying to do. I really do. And I feel the same way, even as a libertarian and somebody who's very conservative in that sense on taxation and everything else. I'm into universal health care. I love the idea. I just want you to show me how you're paying for it. Just pay for it. Pay for it. Show me how you're paying for it. If you're going to pay for it, I don't give a shit. I mean, I think it's awesome. That's what tax money is for, to pay for things that benefit the American citizen.
Right, and see that seems entirely too reasonable.
It's not reasonable. What my point is that, you know, most of the Democratic Socialists don't understand a fucking thing about a budget or the economy or anything else and how it works. If you can show me on paper how you're going to pay for it, and we're not, basically the taxpayer money is going to take care of it, but you're not going to just completely obliterate the middle class, lower classes, or even the upper class. I mean,
yeah, well,
how are you?
Okay, pragmatically, let me interject here. Pragmatically, we're all expecting the economies of scale to kick in, and okay, everybody's going to have this, and maybe it'll be okay, and you know, and then people's premiums start going up exponentially, and people don't expect their insurance premiums to change that often. I mean, when you make your PITI payment on a mortgage, you expect it to be pretty much the same payment for at least a year or two. You know, and if it goes up 4% maybe.
They better not.
You know, what happened here was just implosion.
Well, I think that is for a number of reasons, and I hope that I can articulate this well. And the analogy that I'm thinking about is, in the background, is the public school system. But this is a universal need that the Obamacare framework provided regulatory oversight on, or just, you know, guidelines for the providers of insurance to follow. And I don't get how we can rely on businesses that are designed to make profits to then and they're following the Obamacare framework, but their goal is to make profits. And so of course there's going to be this extreme shift in all of these premium rates going up. It's because it was hard to account for, versus something like education. So public schools, they're providing their service, but it's not for profit. And I think that is something that is at the heart of the issue, and I don't know how to fix it. But I think that is, you know, what is centered around, you know, what I think is a failure of Obamacare, but it's because he's having to deal with providing a framework of guidelines for corporations that provide insurance to follow, and these corporations' ultimate end goal is to turn profits, unlike public school education.
Yeah, well, I think that I learned a lot in Florida when one of our houses was in the middle of a hurricane. We were one of the lucky ones who kept our State Farm insurance coverage. Everyone around us had to go to this pool, and State Farm declared bankruptcy after they paid out as much as they wanted to pay in that area of Florida. And for 3 years, there was no new State Farm policies issued for 3 years because they declared bankruptcy. They spent all they were going to spend. So basically, insurance is a pool of money with a certain amount of risk, and when it runs out, they put that risk back into the premiums. They stop paying out and they put it back in the premiums. And with Obamacare, you had these healthy people walking around with no claims, and so it's the healthy people whose premiums went up, and the needy people, their premiums didn't, which is good, except the healthy person now wants to.
Is that accurate, or is it that everybody's premiums went up?
No.
Yeah.
Like that. You know, it rained on the sick and the healthy at the same time.
State Farm filed bankruptcy, or did they go into receivership?
Also, hang on, wait.
You may be right, but the way it was on the news was bankruptcy for that area.
Yeah.
And
no, I'm just curious. That's just
hang on. I want to avoid this like giant diatribe because
remember
because this is a great topic.
Remember the run sheet, okay? You know, producing live right now.
We've got
remember
two
what we're here to talk about.
or / at least Southeastern Louisianians and one transplant. And we could talk all day about hurricanes and insurance. We really should move on from this topic. and I hate to do
that. Yeah, and that's something we could do a deep dive on at another
good.
time if we just want to get into.
And I'd love to. I really would, because it's a great topic.
Yep.
But again, this conversation, this aspect of the conversation started about lock her up and whether or not Trump actually meant that, actually cared, whether or not his constituents, the people who, well, not his constituents, his supporters, really cared about that or not. Because I get a lot of, but what we really want is, be able to run a business and small government and not having Big Brother standing over us. But what happened to all of that? It's like, again,
he's an entertainer. He understands timing. You can't let a crowd settle down for 15 seconds.
Okay, so my question is, if you're going to do that, why in the flying fuck would you make a promise that you're going to do it in 100 days or in 30 days or whenever, and then just completely fail?
Or do it at all, really.
It was an easy rant.
Contractually, as soon as the American public, any one of us says, I accept, contractually, you have an agreement.
I think the problem here, the problem, Chris, you're probably the only true sort of defender of Trump here. For you as a voter, not looking at this objectively in hindsight, but you as a voter, someone, if you were somebody, and I don't want to project this onto you, but I always got the impression to you that the emails and all this stuff was an issue for you.
Sure.
And that you viewed, Hillary as corrupt and that she needed to be prosecuted and all these other things. And the fact, were you encouraged by Trump's promises that this was going to happen while he was still a candidate versus a president?
Lock Her Up had a great ring to it.
And that meant something to you. That's something that you wanted, right?
An excellent chant. I wanted to see enough evidence for anybody to know if we know they're guilty. I want to see enough evidence, and I'd love to see a judge put them in jail or make them pay.
Sure. And hang on a second. And to presume this is true in Hillary's case, or probably true, and the fact that Trump turned around and said, well, I don't really care about that anymore effectively. How did you take that? How does it go from, I want to see this person locked up for presumed or real crimes, to it's time to move on. He walked
from his golden tower into this real job that he doesn't fully understand, and he's looking at it from the business world perspective. It's his greatest personal achievement, and now he's alone in the White House with advisors around him telling him, dude, you are up to your nose in crocodiles, and you don't have time for that. All he could do at that point was set up a special prosecutor, and if he did that, he's going to alienate all the people who are marching in the streets already.
Well, yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, those people
are already alienated. Those motherfuckers aren't coming back home.
No, that's a very good point, Chris. So yeah, I mean,
no, I agree.
He cares about the polls. He lost the popular vote. He said lock her up because that was a very, very good term. But yeah, he probably shouldn't act on that right now because he still needs to get support from the other half of this country that obviously didn't want that.
They're burning limousines over
here. He's becoming a politician.
But wait.
Yeah, exactly, Haley. That's exactly right. He's becoming a politician, which is the most ironic thing of all of this. But look, I can't stand the man, but I would appreciate it if he would just show a little bit of like decency and respect to to the judicial system, or all he has to,
my cat.
All he has to do is extend, don't be, tweeting such negative things that then, kind of grinds the gears of all of your followers that they start repeating this nonsense that you say. I mean, he needs to understand that he needs to act presidential.
Let's be honest, though. Decency and respect are not in his character, first.
But he needs to fake it till he makes it.
Yeah, he's not good.
Right, and that's the thing that when someone who's a political outsider, he doesn't know how to be a politician, which means he doesn't know how to BS his way through that.
Well, as a shrewd businessman, people will respect that. You don't necessarily have to be decent or respectable, so long as you kick ass at what you do and you provide results.
Right, but that's the topic of our show. Is he kicking ass at what he does right now? So far, I'm getting a resounding no.
Yeah. His results, in his mind, his results were number one, winning,
Uh,
and number two, everything else.
Right, exactly. I don't think he thought past winning. I agree, Chris. I don't think he really thought at all about it. And I don't think he had anyone on his team that said, hey, Donald, maybe you should think past, January 1st, whenever it was that he became inaugurated. I mean,
20.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And nobody who would listen to, at least. Yeah.
Anyway, so
And this,
But he slashed the budget, or proposed huge budget slashes, right?
Sure.
I mean, you talked about the Obamacare, the penalty is gone. He did do what he could, but he doesn't know how this works. And we're kind of, I think a lot of us who voted for him are laughing at this.
Doing.
and this
I
is
think
this
a
is
lot of us are laughing at the system as much as other people are laughing at him.
It's not really the system that's the problem. It's the fact that we elected a man who has no fucking idea what he's doing.
But you presuppose that every voter understands a level of the system that makes sense.
Ooh, I don't presuppose that. I really don't.
Okay.
Right,
Because they have no need. They have trusted.
And it's what you're saying, Chris, is that really he doesn't know how to operate, the levers of government.
And that was his.
He doesn't know how to make things work. But he said because he's a really good businessman,
he'll be able to figure it out.
You could invest all the money he was given to into
yeah, he'll get it figured
into
out.
a fund and make more money than he did. But anyway,
Yeah.
neither here nor
Experts on it.
But anyway, yeah.
But they trusted him, and now he was acting as if all this time, and now it's time for him to produce. Again, it comes back to this: he doesn't know how to operate these levers. He's learning some of them, and he's learning to trust a few, like Matt.
This actually makes me think of a couple of things. So I don't know if any of y'all have read The Art of the Deal.
Yeah, I have.
I have not. No,
it's been a while.
I mean, he is the president. He wrote a book. He maybe should, but I understand that the 100-day benchmark is kind of an arbitrary thing that was set back from the FDR time, but it is something that we talk about. But in The Art of the Deal, he said, one of the things that really stuck with me is to make a deal, you have to never act like you're desperate for it to happen.
Yep.
So maybe, and I'm just kind of spitballing here. Maybe the fact that I think his only accomplishment that he has done, his only campaign promise that he has filled, is the Supreme Court nomination. And I think that I don't think I can have anyone tell me that otherwise. But I'm thinking maybe he doesn't want to seem desperate to try to get any of the other stuff accomplished, and he's not really, concerned by the 100-day mark. And
I think his tack is, if you look at that book and the philosophy there, his tack is to make other people think they're not going to get something, so it becomes a bargaining chip. So he comes in like an ogre, and then he slowly gives this and slowly gives back that, because then he's starting to bargain for what he thinks he wants.
Sure.
Has he accomplished a lot in the first 100 days? To get back to that topic,
I mean,
he's trying.
I didn't deal because I looked at this point like a 200 page. It looked like a 200 page Breitbart article.
Well,
But
honestly, it was actually pretty interesting. I didn't read it. I read it in high school, but I mean, it still was very.
But he's bringing a certain philosophy to governance. I understand that. I was thinking it does not have the appearance of working, and given that Trump is demonstrably a consummate narcissist, I can only conclude it must frustrate him that the only thing he can do, he has to do, via executive order. And by the way, most of that stuff is reversible. A new.
Yeah. Well, obviously,
apart from Gorsuch, yeah.
No, it doesn't even matter. Gorsuch is going to follow the law. I mean, I really don't think.
I'm not trying to delve into that again.
Yeah, but anyway.
So yeah,
I think Trump thought he would walk into Congress and everyone would see him as the boss.
I think you're right about that.
Well, I completely agree. And here's what my thought is with that Art of the Deal analogy, and where you were going with that, Chris, is the difference is we have no other option but to deal with President Trump.
Yep.
Not zero. I mean, when we're talking about business elsewhere, real estate, whatever that he was writing about in the Art of the Deal, anybody else could have told Trump to go fuck himself.
Someone wrote that for him. I have to keep saying that. You keep saying he wrote it. He didn't write it. Okay. Sorry, I had to say.
Yeah,
Ghost wrote it.
Obama
Yeah, that's true.
Fantastic.
Hang on. Okay. Can we not? We're like really.
Just move. Go on.
Yeah.
But my point is that
Yeah.
you know, from his initial point and what Chris was saying, we have to deal with President Trump. He's the only person we can deal with. If we don't deal with him, our two options are we take the deal or we reject the deal and we have no other recourse.
Yeah.
So if he acts like a child and stomps his feet and refuses to change his version, we end up with our solution to Obamacare, which was, well, if you don't like it, fuck you. You're getting nothing.
Yep. And it worked
Well,
for the
I mean,
50 years of his life.
Wasn't that Trump care?
Yeah, exactly. We
Yeah.
Started off as Romney care.
the libertarians in fucking Congress that told us to go fuck ourselves and said we're not taking it.
Well, it wasn't just the libertarians.
There
Yeah.
There was broad disagreement.
Well, of course the Democrats, but they don't count because they can't pass anything or do anything. They're minority.
Whoa.
There's still
the House
potential.
Freedom
Hang on a
Caucus.
second. There's still potential votes, but again, neither here nor there.
You needed the libertarians to say no, and you got it.
Right.
When are we going to talk about the border wall, though? I'm
Thank you. I've been trying to keep this thing on the rails, and it's not working so well. So we've talked about 100 days, what Trump has done, hasn't done. I think we've visited most of those things on the list. Is there anything we didn't touch on, Chris?
Sanctuary cities, and we go back to the border wall.
We lost on the sanctuary cities.
Look,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
There's another EO, and it was blocked. Right?
Another.
And he deported everybody who wasn't nailed to the ground.
Two different federal courts shut that one down. Both of them declaring nationwide bans.
Border wall.
Right. So now the border wall. He said he was going to build the wall. He sent out an executive order, didn't he? One of the first couple of weeks.
Executive order
just to begin, like to try hard to build a wall. Basically, is what I'm getting. It's obviously not begun yet. There's nothing in his proposed tax plan, I think, or the budget that had any verbiage about. There's a lot of heavy breathing going on here.
Who is jerking off or whatever the hell?
Okay. He's ready to get in.
I guess I was too close to my phone.
Yeah. Anyway,
You said border wall. Say it again.
Border wall.
You have to say it slow. You have to say it like that. Very white.
Border wall.
I thought. Wait. I thought he said boner wall.
Well, that's what the girls want, apparently.
Be a very accurate metaphor.
Hang on, please.
So really, there's been no ground broken on it, and there's nothing as far as we hear of the budget that's supposed to come out by Friday, or there will be a government shutdown, right? There's nothing in any of that language that we've heard of, at least as of Wednesday afternoon, including payment for the wall. And again, he was banging on this forever, and I view it, and Ross, he sort of coined the phrase that it's an eternity project. That I'm convicted that he wants to have this giant thing that can be seen from space, essentially, and to exist for all time as his legacy. And that's what he's wants to accomplish. It doesn't really seem like he has any kind of rational path to get that accomplished.
So keep going, please. I'm just laughing at the
Seriously, it fits with his whole got to put his name on everything.
He builds big golden towers, right? He wants a giant wall that's his. For posterity.
We just literally build him a dick tower and say Donald Trump's cock.
Oh
my God, it's massive. You can see it from space.
It will be the largest micro penis in the world. It's true.
But his tiny hands help.
Yeah.
They make it bigger.
Let's get sorry.
So really, nothing's been done with this wall. But it's Ted Cruz to the rescue, right?
Whoa, we have to talk about that. But
was that the last point?
Yeah.
This is going to be meandering.
Lacey's trying to say something.
I'm sorry. Asking. I mean, I'm not a construction guru, but realistically, a wall of that terrific stature, how long is that actually going to take to build?
Several years, probably longer than his actual presidency. But you know, fuck that. Who cares, right? Because wall.
And it's kindness. This comes down to one of these. I said I was going to do it. Oh, this is so much harder than anybody realized. Kind of moments. And you know, maybe he's still working on it. I'm sure he still wants it, and he's still talking about it. But you know, none of those particular levers have been pulled yet. Go ahead.
This is not a real world where you could put the wall's ownership into some entity that could ultimately file bankruptcy in the event it is unsuccessful. I mean, this is something that is the United States of America built. So it, you know, I don't know. I hope very strongly that if he is going to actually do this, it's not a waste of all the money that he's using, that he's going to have to get from taxpayers or however he's going to get it, because what a waste.
Can we start with the main concern is the fact that like 90% of this wall is going to involve eminent domain and stealing property from property owners who are American.
Right, and you hate that, right? As an
I
kind of hate it because it's frivolous. And I mean, like, you brought up a good point.
It's just period. It shouldn't be allowed.
Right. Okay. But again, you're saying not a waste of taxpayer money. I think in its very inception, it's a waste of taxpayer money because while I agree that, you know, we're a sovereign nation, we should be able to defend our borders and, you know, maintain security. I'm okay with that, you know, in a vacuum kind of thing.
Sure.
I don't think building a giant ass wall you can see from space
is nothing.
Is really going to help
literally nothing
accomplish that goal.
Now we're becoming pragmatic. I agree.
And I want to hear
but it helped his campaign.
Oh, sure.
Wasn't it his first promise in his campaign?
It was.
It was. Very much. We're
going to build a wall.
And they shouldn't be country.
Mexicans are rapists and drug dealers.
Build a wall to stop Mexicans from coming into this country.
The bad hombres.
No, he came up with that later. But it started with Mexicans are rapists, and we won't let them in.
And they're stealing our jobs.
Oh, but no, he did say, but I'm sure plenty of them are good people too. But they're rapists, and we're not letting them in.
It worked.
So
that was his. That was
so
his
none of that's happened.
Presidency announcement was the Mexicans are drug dealers and murderers and rapists.
We got it.
And what came to mind immediately for every business person out there, unless they have a construction business and they're using illegal, you know, workers, is what about all these guys who go in here and they're getting free insurance and I'm having to pay this from Obamacare?
My first idea as a business owner was, that was racist. That's bullshit. What the fuck was that? But that was my opinion. I mean, as a business owner.
I never thought for a minute there'd be a wall.
There'd be a wall.
Chris, you never thought there's going to be a wall at all?
No. And I don't see a need for it. Something effective would be good, but it doesn't need to be a wall. You put drones up in the air.
Drones?
Well, they've already backtracked a little.
Monitoring traffic.
Oh, okay. Wait. I want to hear. No, Chris.
Not like shooting drones, but like.
I was going to ask Chris, what do you think the drones are doing up in the air?
At least take pictures, you know.
At least, at most, what would you like to see them do?
Oh, just, you know, send people back. I mean, obviously, then you send out a Jeep and pick them up. Hey,
inform.
Okay.
Don't leave them like that.
Just checking. No, I was wondering.
Versus, you know, shoot. You know,
I have
mounted
heard
missiles or
people
something.
argue that they should stop.
I mean, James, they're already using drones. Like the National Park Service is already using drones to help them find people whenever people are like lost and need to be rescued.
Cool. Totally.
Yeah, there's drones doesn't mean murder.
No.
Thank you, Haley.
And I apologize. I only asked. Heard arguments that drones should be used to kill people as they try to move across the border. As we should also have machine gun nests that kill people across the border as they try to cross.
That's hyperbolic. I don't think that's Chris's position.
No, I
don't think it's anybody's
I know.
position.
I didn't say that either.
Okay. So let's set that aside. So I think we've covered pretty well 100 days. I think we agree Gorsuch was a success on his part. There's things that he's working on. There's things that he seems to either not care anymore, like Hillary, or is more or less failing at. But let's talk about the wall and Cruz's proposal, the El Chapo.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sure.
How do we have a right to that money?
I don't think we do, really.
Thank you. Ladies, go, please. I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. I'd be happy to jump in.
Well, no, I mean, I don't think there's much to say. I don't, I do a lot of like creditors' rights work, and I don't think that, I've never had to look at like sort of criminal forfeiture laws, but I think that it's whoever's, first of all, that money goes to the victims. So, or at least in America, I mean, if
we are the victims.
But so are the people whose, family members were murdered in Mexico. So is Mexico. I mean, I think I don't know the answer, but I don't think it's right to automatically assume that we have a right to that money and can put it to the uses, certainly not to build a wall. I mean, that's pretty
I mean, especially if Mexico has a right to this money, which just based off of the bare facts that I know, which is mostly nothing, yeah, they probably have it. How do we have a right to it? And like, there's no way in hell that it would be used to go to the wall. But
who seized it? That's the other thing. I mean,
who seized it?
If it was seized in America by American authorities, there could be some way that we could, I guess, exert, territorial jurisdiction and as a seizing creditor, the first one to seize it. But still, I think that there would be intervening rights to those funds.
Okay. And I looked this up today because I was curious. To start with, Mexico has all of that money. We have none. We have none. Zero. We have physically possessed $0 from El Chapo. We have zero. Now, also,
so this sounds like something Cruz would come up with.
Yeah, it would be. That's why my comment on the page was neoconservatives as smart as the liberals with allocation of money. You guys don't understand what the hell you're talking about, and let's just go ahead and allocate money somewhere that we don't have. But my point was, with all of it, we don't have it. Mexico has it. We have none of it. And also that $14 billion amount is not just El Chapo's money. That is all of the drug assets that have been seized in Mexico for the last 20 or 30 years. Now, on top of that, we are asserting that we are owed 100% of that money because it all goes to the United States because we're the victims, and there's no drug use on the Mexican border. There's no drug use for all these things. The drug traffic goes into Mexico and it belongs to us.
So we're establishing a damages amount.
Yeah, basically. We're saying, fuck you, Mexico. We'll sue you. It's our money anyway. And we're going to claim it in civil asset forfeiture under civil asset forfeiture rules in America.
But how is that?
Sounds like.
How is that legal battle fought out? Is that do we go to the what do they call it, the Hague or the Hague or something like that?
We are going to go to the Hague.
We're going to the.
Well, the thing is, because the money is in Mexico, one of the things that I learned in law school about like forum and U.S. jurisdiction is, if you're like a defense attorney and your client might be able to be sued in Mexico, like, dear God, please let them be sued in Mexico because they just don't have a similar court system and damage assessment. But I would imagine that this would be under Mexican law.
It would have to be. It would have to be.
This would be brought in Mexico.
We're talking about occurred in Mexico. We all forget to mention the fact that this has no connection to the United States outside of the fact that we presuppose the drugs were going there.
There's no way that's not, I mean, if the funds were seized by the Mexican authorities in Mexico, we have zero right to them. The only way we could get them is if we were to say, under some theory of sort of kind of similar to, I guess, like, what is it, respondeat superior?
We're claiming that we're owed the money because we are the victims.
How would we do it under respondeat superior?
Yeah, like, well, Mexico's the employer. Dumbass El Chapo is the one that's caused us all these damages. And
That's right. It's El Chapo's fault, which means it's Mexico's fault because of.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's so bizarre, and obviously it's not right. But I'm just saying, I can think of.
There's no way in hell it's gonna happen.
But the question then becomes: couldn't Mexico interplead and be like, actually, it's Colombia's fault because they made the cocaine?
Yeah, no, exactly. There you go. It's exactly a joke. The whole thing's a joke.
This is such a joke.
We're not getting the money. So here's what's going to happen. Ted Cruz's bill, if it passes and everybody signs it, we're all like, oh yeah, El Chapo's
So would you say that
We're gonna pay for the wall.
more than likely that Ted Cruz put out there to garner popularity for Ted Cruz?
Oh no! This is the fun part. If you look at how our budgetary system works, if we budget the money and we already set that money aside to do something for a budget, if you don't have money for it, guess where it comes from?
The people.
Our coffers. We pay for it anyway because we can't afford.
That's what I said. We're gonna pay for the wall.
Yeah, this is Ted Cruz's way of making us pay for it, while all of us thinking, "Fuck yeah, we made Mexico pay for it," and it's going to turn out 2 years later we don't get the money, and we.
No, I mean, look. What's going to happen is Trump is, I guess, ultimately going to have to be like, all right, America, how bad do you want?
Chris is actually.
Chris has the camera.
I figured out the button.
Chris.
Yay, there's Chris.
That's right, brother. Welcome.
He pulled the levers of Google Plus.
So, Chris, were you following that conversation?
Yes, I think Ted Cruz got in the news.
That's what it is.
The news.
He became news again.
Oh,
okay. I was just wondering. Yeah, I just want to know what anyone else has to think about it, because after having done my research, we don't have any of this money physically. Now, if we had the money physically, we could play the "go fuck yourself" card and win. Ultimately, we're America. Yeah, exactly. Is that every simpleton knows possession is 9/10 of the law. If we have the money seized already, we'd be like, "Fuck you, you're not getting it back." But right now, we're basically telling Mexico they owe it to us.
What about just getting Mexican labor to do it?
For what?
Labor? Like, you mean taxing the Mexicans?
Like $14 billion worth of labor.
We got to pay them for it.
Well, maybe
the Mexicans don't work for free, by the way. You know.
Wait, what is Chris saying?
Maybe they pay us by building the wall instead of giving us the money. He said they're going to build it, or they're going to pay for it.
They're not going to give us the money, bro.
No, he's saying instead of paying for it,
they're not going to give us that money.
I don't really see that happening either way.
Not only
being funny, but
not
a very economical solution, but it's not going to happen.
I think that economical solution only works if Mexico feels as if they have a bill to pay us, and I don't see them feeling that way.
Yeah.
Good point, Haley.
If only there were a river.
If only.
The Rio Grande is not very grand, though.
It's also not very much a Rio. You've seen it.
Right.
Sometimes it's pretty wide. Sometimes it looks like the creek that used to be a creek and was really just a drainage ditch behind my house.
Yeah, again, I think it was a talking point. He won an election, and he's deporting people. So what's next?
You do know that, and I want to cover this too, because people talk about this all the time. I'll just say it really quickly. Obama deported more people than any other president in the history of the United States, but apparently he was really soft on immigration.
He didn't make news with it, though. He didn't,
No, because he's not an asshole. Like sometimes there's something to be said for walking softly and carrying a big stick.
Yeah.
I guess Obama just didn't want to be perceived as doing something that was,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it wasn't going to be, good for his image necessarily.
Exactly. That's why we were very quiet about those drone strikes where we were killing American
which
citizens.
I don't approve of the drone strikes. I understand that.
We'll kill American
what I'm saying is, well, Trump supporters would be or give me the impression of cheering for the deportations. For an Obama supporter, not so much. So it makes perfect sense why one would make very little noise about it, while the other one would make as much noise as possible. So, I mean, that's
avoid it.
Decipher. What you got there, Sarah? Is that Buffalo Trace?
That's like Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace, baby.
Very nice.
I think we're both hound dogs for.
I'll be right back, y'all.
No.
Desperately.
Go ahead. So, what is next on the docket?
I will say one thing. Can I say one thing, guys? That is really the only positive thing, as someone who does not like Trump, that I can think of. I will dig deep and find something positive about him, which is hard. But it's that I believe he has perhaps learned from his mistakes, or at least been influenced by someone that I, like more than other people that are in his influential circle, and that is that he demoted Bannon. I think that that was a very big and wise, I don't even know if I can use wise, but it was a good decision.
Good call. Okay.
I mean, I think
He didn't need him.
I think in general we're seeing that Trump has realized how hard this job is, but you can tell that he's learning from it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell that he isn't saying they are all rapists and murderers anymore. He's not
Right.
using. He's. I think he's starting to accept he's not on the campaign trail anymore. He's still concerned about ratings, obviously, but you know, he's starting to, I mean, the tax
Evolve.
policy that he pushed forward today, I like it. You know,
I haven't read it. What is it, Haley? I don't know. What is the current tax proposal? Does anyone know about that?
50%.
He's going to break it down and simplify it, which I think is very much so needed, and to where there's only going to be three brackets of 10%. 25%, 35% for businesses, corporations, including small businesses. Instead of being taxed 39.6 or 4%, they're going to be dropped down to 15%. He wants to take away the tax on income properties and income investments. He just wants to remove that entirely. And on a side note, he wants to double the deduction for married couples from $12,000 to $24,000.
But that's okay. Well, that pissed me off a little bit. The whole doubling of the marriage deduction, because I mean, that's like, well, that's not fair.
Well, you have to think about it from the perspective of he wants more citizens. Married people tend to have babies.
No, that's cool.
No, that's exactly what that is. It's trying to get there to be more marriages. But backing up a minute, when you were saying the investment properties, so you're saying that so investment income won't be taxed at all?
Investment property income, I believe, is currently taxed at an 8.3%, and he wants to do away with it entirely.
Huh, that's really cool. That's a good thing. That's good.
Yeah, I thought that was a great thing too.
Yeah.
These are interesting ideas to float. You know, obviously, paying less and keeping more of your income. That sounds generally winning to a lot of people.
But the biggest thing is simplifying.
How do we not, explode, our debt in the process? How do we?
It's by simplifying the entire process to close out loopholes.
But has he?
If you have three brackets, if you have
James has his hand up.
How about we cut?
Yeah, taxes theft. We know.
Cut spending. How about that? How about we match our tax cuts with cutting spending?
But cutting spending of what? See, this is what's not been expounded on. This is what I'm asking.
Oh, I understand. And he's going to fuck it all up because he'll let a liberal do it later, or a libertarian if we ever actually get one. But
I think that all of these tax ideas
tax the living shit out of the military budget. I mean, you can go to The Shining on it.
But that does not match anything that he's proposed, because he's talking about expanding the military and increasing their funding and increasing the size of their fleet. I think, Chris, this was part of the list that you had talked about a while ago. Expanding the fleet, expanding the size of the military, number of enlisted people, and XYZ. Much more money to the military. So he's proposed tax cuts for everybody, and more so for super rich people, and then also expand the size of the military.
Well, and
I
actually do think that those are two inconsistent ideas, in that if you have a tax policy that you want to put in place that is a simplified approach, a sort of taking a step back approach, having simplified brackets, just having less government oversight and control over it. If you're going to push that on a tax policy, which I believe a lot of us here are all going to agree is good, I kind of think that you need to understand that taxes and government are sort of one and the same in how they operate, and you might need to employ that kind of logistic on your entire platform. Something more simplified, something, a little bit more,
Six Sigma.
And so I think that if you're going to employ that kind of tax policy, which I applaud, I do think that you kind of need to go about it on a whole bunch of other endeavors. I think maybe you should And that's probably why he took away the border wall and everything. Like, maybe you need to think of simplified, non-big spending approaches to solve the solutions that are facing other aspects of running a fucking country. You know, that you gotta view the lens of governing other issues the way that you're viewing tax in the same way that you're viewing other issues, for it to actually work and us not get into much more debt.
No one's discussed the fact that Donald Trump has reduced our budget by $100 billion since he's been in office.
Has he?
Yes.
He's proposed ways to do that.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but I mean, he's through executive orders too. He has actually accomplished quite a bit of that, and that's cool. That's awesome.
I don't know what you're talking
For
about.
the tax cuts, where
You have to expand on that.
Well,
where would the revenue come from? I understand it's going to be streamlined and it's going to eliminate certain
lots of
loopholes.
social programs.
But which loopholes is he eliminating? Like, do you mean for the big businesses?
Yeah, that's actually the majority of the ones that were targeted.
And how is he doing that without his friends getting pissed off?
Well,
I
would hope that he's not caring about his friends.
How much do we resent accountants? I mean, don't we all just why does it have to be so complicated for our taxes in every quarter and all these? Come on. If you simplify it, we're going to save money on those costs. Plus, we will get to understand what we're doing. We never want to make an investment without understanding what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we have these gurus who are advising us, and we know these. I mean, you know, my daughter's studying to be an accountant, so I don't mean anything bad, but I mean, they're bean counters. They count what exists. They don't propose business ideas to build.
Chris, so it's funny. I graduated finance, and I agree with you completely. One of my favorite professors used to always say, accountants count money and finance people play with it. Which one do you want to be?
Yeah.
And I agree, but you need the accountants to an extent, because those are the guys that you rely on to say, oh shit, what's my percentage of this or that? Or if I do this, can I get what, you know, I mean, you need.
Yeah, but we'll understand them now. It'll be simpler.
Yeah.
So what I was going to make with the analogy argument, though, just really quickly, was this idea that, yes, if you are going to cut taxes, you have to look at the sense of balancing your checkbook or your own personal finances. If you're cutting taxes, you're cutting your income. You took a pay cut at work. You can't continue to increase or even stay at the level of spending you were at. You must stop spending as much money so that the checkbook balances out. And you run into this problem where if Donald Trump is going to increase military spending and increase the size of the military and increase the size of the military's weaponry, like especially ships in the Navy, which cost a shitload of money.
Yeah,
you can't just say, okay, well, I just cut taxes a whole bunch, so we took a 35% pay cut or something like that. We're going to double the money we're spending.
But I think
it's the same thing that. But sorry.
I think the idea is to stimulate the economy, so we have more businesses that decide to grow, rather than, I mean, frankly, you get to a point where you say, okay, if I grow another 25% and I'm only going to be able to pocket another 2%, this is kind of a good spot to stay. Which is, you know, counterintuitive, but when people become experienced enough, they start thinking that way. And now we have reason to grow more.
I understand that kind of thinking, but that's the same kind of thinking that, you know, George W. had. Tax cuts, increased military spending, and then look where we were in 2007 and 2008.
It's not.
That was also because of decreased
Bush was a warmonger.
Hang on. Well, let's not go full like 24-hour news cycle here where we're talking over each other. But this great question again, Chris. This idea that if you cut your income and increase your spending, you can't justify that. I mean, you just can't.
I think Chris's point was it's a cut in innovation.
He's saying it's going to encourage sort of repatriation of corporations and growth of business here.
Spending money if you're not bringing in money. And if you increase the economy, that's awesome. You're not increasing your actual income from taxes because you cut those taxes.
Okay, wait. Look at the stock market. That optimism that we're seeing right now, people who think they're going to make more money.
But it's shifting to bonds.
Private economy works great, but the question is, how does the government sustain itself? American citizens don't pay for our military. Our government pays for it by taking our money through taxes. If we reduce our income as a government, even if the economy explodes, we can't afford to support that military.
That's the game of whether or not
just
the growth
because
is enough to offset the reduction.
That's like saying again for me. That's like saying again for me that all the law businesses around me, all the law offices around me have had this huge intake of income, but I haven't. And I'm like, well, fuck yeah, the whole community is doing so much better. I'm going to start spending more money too.
No. But year 2, you may have more clients. Year 3,
I don't have more clients. No, that's not how it works. Again, if you're not getting income from the economy, what the fuck does it matter? Your citizens are getting wealthy. Your state is not. You cannot afford as a state to spend money on military.
Okay. Just to throw it out there, I actually don't think that the government is entirely dependent on income taxes as its income. But
No.
I'm not as learned on that position.
But you're right.
And also, Chris, as a side note, the stock market's starting to look at bonds more, which is, I think, telling, but for a different topic on a different day. But just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, my point is, though, if you're going to have a source of revenue and you're going to lose income, you can't turn around and say, let's increase our spending. I mean, that's counter.
More businesses paying, even at a lower rate, you may have more revenue from that source.
That's the gamble. Yeah,
sure. And I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell liberals when they want to talk about universal health care. Show me the money. Show me the budget. Show me how you want to do it. Until then, cut military spending. It's outrageous.
But
right.
Okay, can I say?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Just
You're fine.
When you talk about cutting military spending, okay, I consider myself like this sort of like hybrid. I'm more liberal than other things, but I don't want to cut military spending. I mean, I think that it's already been decreased enough under Obama, and I don't think we need to build it back up. But I mean, I think that a military is an important thing to have. I mean, I do want to feel, and this is probably, a completely irrational fear, but I do want to feel safe and protected in my own country.
Well, and I like being a superpower. I like having a super military.
Those are wonderful things, but again, have you looked at what we spend budgetary wise on those issues?
Yeah, but I also recognize that I don't have the expertise to say whether or not. I also recognize that I don't have the expertise to say whether or not this, enormous number is unreasonable. What I have is past spending amounts and, certain costs. And I am comfortable with the size of our military right now. I'm comfortable with it. And, I agree with Lace on that point. It just seems, I don't know. I think that there's probably fat that can be trimmed, but I think that needs to be worked out on a source. That's not necessarily cutting a budget. That's, not using all of your budget.
Right.
Okay, guys.
I think, it's put a final bow on it in the perspective, tax cuts and budget and all this stuff. We have our ideas, especially you, James, your ideas of how you can make it work, but we're talking about what is happening now and what do we think Trump will do? And I'm not personally really instilled with a lot of confidence that this is going to happen the way he wants it to, given all the things he's trying to do at the same time. It's just incompatible. But that's my final thought on it. If anybody else has anything in conclusion to add, this would be the time.
I would love to hear a reason for the size of the military he thinks we need. I'd love to hear numbers that make sense.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't need it. Maybe he just wants to be the biggest. Maybe he knows something. I don't know. If it's just to spend money and to give, contractors business because he made them promises, then I won't be happy, and nobody will.
I think it's kind of a double-edged
point.
He does know something. He is the commander in chief. It's his military to order. I mean, he needs congressional approval. but I think that you're shooting fish in a barrel if you want congressional approval against Syria or North Korea.
He didn't have congressional approval for the last Syria bomb.
I know he didn't.
Yeah, and he didn't need it. But again, segues. We're gonna avoid all the little rabbit trails and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's time to wrap up.
Chris's final point. Does anyone else have anything to read? I know Ross. He's been very active all night. We're having Ross here.
Hey, I just wanted to say, Chris, thanks for joining. It was good to have you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
We'd love to have you here. Then I hate that I talked to somebody if I did.
When and I will.
What you're doing right now?
Good.
Thank you. Hey, you know, we won. We've got to represent.
Oh boy.
Right on.
I guess with that said, I think it's time to play out.
Sure.
It's been enjoyable. I've really enjoyed the discussions and the even keel and tone of the conversation. I think we're doing a little bit of a good job of proving that people from different perspectives, from different sides of this issue, can talk to each other like we're human beings.
Exactly.
And it's a sad thing in modern discourse that it's such a rarity now, and we need more of it. Face-to-face conversations, persuasion. It can be a real thing, and that's what we're trying to do with Fermenting Opinions. And with that said,
Thank you, David.
Cheers.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Bye.
All right, take care.